Grand Theft Auto. A single hired gun turned an entire criminal underworld into a graveyard of failed masters, and he never once stayed loyal to anyone who trusted him. In Liberty City, a nobody starts running dirty jobs for Don Robert Serigliano, and every hit, every stolen car, every rival gang wiped out builds a name that the whole city eventually feared. Once the Italian mafia falls under his control, he does not slow down. San Andreas offers a different jungle, this one ruled by street gangs and smuggling networks, and El Burro and Uncle Fu treat him as a disposable weapon against their enemies. He sabotages factories, wipes out shipments, and erases anyone standing in the way, then moves again. Vice City brings sunshine and a fresh set of masters in Samuel Deaver and Marcus, corrupt police and drug lords who all believe they are using him. One by one those bosses vanish too. 3 cities fall the same way, because nobody who ever gave him an order lived long enough to give another one. Grand Theft Auto 2. Claude Speed wakes from cryogenic prison into a city built entirely on betrayal, and within days he is working for 3 rival empires at once without any of them knowing. The Zaibatsu Corporation, the anarchic loonies, and the disciplined Yakuza all believe Claude is their private mercenary, taking jobs through payphones that quietly turn each faction against the others. Money and trust pile up fast, and so does the truth waiting to explode. When the bosses realize the same man has been feeding their rivals every secret, they send killers after him, and Claude responds by hunting down Trey Welsh, Elmo, and Johnny Zoo before they finish the job. The pattern repeats in a second district full of rednecks and SRS scientists willing to cross any moral line, and again Claude survives the purge meant to erase him. In the industrial district, 3 final powers led by Uno Carb, Sunbeam, and Jerkoff make the same mistake as everyone before them. Claude turns their war into his personal ladder, kills all 3, and walks out as the only person left standing in a city that was supposed to destroy him. Grand Theft Auto 3. A single gunshot from the woman he loved should have ended everything, yet it only started the bloodiest rise Liberty City had ever seen. Claude survives Catalina's betrayal during a bank robbery, escapes police custody with the help of an explosives expert named 8-Ball, and finds himself working for the Leone crime family under Salvatore Leone himself. Every silent, faceless job he completes builds his reputation until paranoia turns against him when Salvatore's wife Maria is accused of an affair with Claude and a car bomb is planted for him instead. He flips to the Yakuza, allies with Asuka Kaysen, and later becomes the unknowing weapon inside a real estate scheme run by billionaire Donald Love, who wants the Yakuza and the Colombian cartel to destroy each other. That manufactured war spirals until Catalina resurfaces, kidnaps Maria, takes the ransom, and tries once again to leave Claude dead. He chases her helicopter to the Cochrane Dam and ends her with a rocket launcher, closing the loop that started with her bullet. The man who was shot, abandoned, and left for dead becomes the last person standing over Liberty City's criminal empire. Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. 15 years in prison bought Tommy Vercetti nothing but a one-way ticket to a drug deal designed to fail. Sonny Forelli sends him south in 1986 to expand the family business, but masked gunmen storm the meeting, kill the Vance brothers' associate, and vanish with both the cocaine and the money. Tommy spends the rest of the story hunting the people responsible, teaming up with Lance Vance, and slowly discovering that the man secretly behind the ambush is Ricardo Diaz, the same drug lord who has been paying them for protection. When Diaz captures and beats Lance for acting alone, Tommy stops investigating and starts conquering, storming the mansion and taking Diaz's entire empire as his own. Sonny expects Tommy to hand it all over, and Tommy refuses, building businesses across the city as fronts for a growing criminal kingdom. Lance, feeling like a forgotten employee instead of a partner, betrays Tommy at the worst possible moment, exposing his counterfeit money to Sonny's army. Tommy kills Lance on the helipad, kills Sonny inside his own estate, and ends the story owning everything the Forelli family once controlled. Grand Theft Auto Advance. Mike was seconds from disappearing out of Liberty City forever when the explosion that was supposed to end his old life took his best friend instead. He and Vinny had saved enough money to walk away from crime completely, until Vinny's car detonated and the fortune they built together vanished along with him. Grief sends Mike straight back into the underworld he was trying to escape, working for 8-Ball, King Courtney, the Yakuza, and even Salvatore Leone while hunting whoever killed his friend. The investigation eventually uncovers something impossible, because Vinny was never dead at all. He staged the entire explosion, stole the money, and let Mike take the fallout while everyone assumed he was the victim. Mike tracks him down, and when Vinny reaches for a weapon instead of an explanation, the confrontation ends fast. But revenge brings no fortune back, and Vinny's death turns every gang Mike worked for into an enemy, forcing him into a final shootout that ends with him stealing a plane and vanishing into the night with nothing but his own survival. Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas. Carl Johnson came home to bury his mother and instead found 2 corrupt cops ready to blackmail him within minutes of stepping off the plane. Frank Tenpenny and Eddie Pulaski use manufactured evidence to force CJ into doing their dirty work while Grove Street crumbles under the ballast and crack cocaine spreads through the neighborhood. Rebuilding the family alongside his brother Sweet and old friends Big Smoke and Ryder feels like healing, until evidence surfaces proving that both of them have been working with the ballast and Tenpenny Tenpenny the entire time. Sweet is shot and arrested. CJ is exiled to the countryside, and from there his war expands into San Fierro and Las Venturas, tearing apart a drug empire connected to the Loco Syndicate and pulling off a casino heist against the Mafia. When Sweet is finally freed and Los Santos erupts into riots, CJ tracks down Big Smoke inside his fortified crack operation and kills the man who once called him family. Tenpenny flees in a burning fire truck, crashes above Grove Street, and dies from his injuries without CJ ever pulling the trigger, closing a war that cost him everything before giving it all back. Grand Theft Auto: Liberty City Stories. Tony Cipriani returned to Liberty City expecting respect and instead discovered that his own mother had arranged to have him killed. After 4 years hiding from a murder he committed for Salvatore Leone, Tony finds his old position handed to a younger mobster named Vincenzo Silli, while Ma Cipriani calls her son a disappointment compared to his dead father and sets assassins on him to prove his worth. Tony survives, eliminates Vincenzo after a betrayal attempt, and becomes Salvatore's most trusted enforcer as 3 mafia families tear Liberty City apart. He assassinates a corrupt mayor, blows up an entire district controlled by the Forelli family, and helps crush the Sindacos, only to learn that the real enemy was never any of the 3 families at all. The Sicilian Mafia had been manipulating the whole war from the shadows, keeping Salvatore imprisoned and steering the city toward their own takeover. Tony chases the conspiracy to its source, kills the man responsible at Portland Rock, and finally earns the one thing his mother and every boss above him refused to give freely: a permanent place among the people who actually run the city. Grand Theft Auto: Vice City Stories. Victor Vance lost his military career in one corrupt night and lost his life 2 years later over cocaine he never wanted to steal. A dishonorable discharge, engineered by a superior officer named Jerry Martinez, throws Vic onto the streets with nothing, and a chance meeting with Phil Cassidy pulls him toward organized crime almost by accident. Protecting Phil's sister Louise from her abusive husband turns violent, and Vic inherits an entire protection racket that becomes the foundation of the Vance crime family. His younger brother Lance wants wealth instead of stability, and their theft of a cocaine shipment linked to Martinez drags them into a war with the Mendez brothers, 2 of Vice City's most dangerous dealers. When the Mendez brothers kidnap Louise and Lance, Vic storms a fortified skyscraper by attack helicopter and kills both Martinez and Diego Mendez, but the rescue comes too late to save Louise. Furious at the empire that cost him everything, Vic walks away from the criminal world entirely, only for Lance to secretly keep the cocaine hidden for later. That single decision seals Vic's fate, because 2 years afterward that same hidden shipment becomes the deal that gets him murdered and leaves Tommy Vercetti holding the blame. Grand Theft Auto 4. Nico Bellic crossed an ocean chasing a lie his own cousin told him, and the truth waiting in Liberty City was worse than anything he left behind in the war. Roman promised mansions and sports cars, but Nico finds him broke, indebted, and running a failing taxi company, so Nico starts working the city's underworld to protect him. Killing a Russian gangster named Vlad drags Nico into the orbit of crime boss Mikhail Faustin, and killing Faustin on Dmitry Raskolov's orders leads straight into Dmitry's own betrayal, burning down Roman's home and business. Nico rebuilds through the McReary family, the Italian mafia, and a federal deal with a mysterious agency, all while still hunting the man who sold out his military unit for money years earlier. That search ends with a broken addict named Darko, who betrayed 15 soldiers for a single $1,000, and Nico must choose whether killing him means anything at all. Whichever ending he chooses, revenge against Dmitry, and Pegorino leaves him standing beneath the Statue of Happiness, having lost either his cousin or the woman who offered him a different life, proving the American dream he crossed an ocean for was never waiting on the other side. Grand Theft Auto: Chinatown Wars. Huang Li was shot, robbed, and thrown into the ocean inside a sinking car before he ever finished delivering the sword he carried across an ocean. The ancient Yu Jian was meant to secure his Uncle Kenny's rise to Grand Master of the Triads, but an ambush outside the airport steals it and kills his escort, leaving Huang to survive alone and hunt the people responsible. Kenny sends him deep into Liberty City's underworld, working for 3 rivals who each want the throne, while a corrupt detective named Wade Heston offers his own deal in exchange for information. The investigation eventually exposes a mole leaking secrets to federal agents, and Huang is ordered to eliminate the 2 men accused of the leak, never realizing the evidence against them was manufactured. Both rivals fall, clearing Kenny's path to power, until the final transmission reveals that Kenny himself orchestrated everything from the very beginning, including the murder of Huang's own father. Huang chases his uncle to the docks and kills him without hesitation, discovering that the sword was never the real prize, only the excuse Kenny needed to remove everyone standing between himself and complete control. Grand Theft Auto 5. Michael Townley faked his own death so convincingly that even his closest friend believed he was buried, and 9 years of hiding still could not save him from the past catching up. A 2004 bank robbery in Ludendorff left Brad presumed dead and Trevor Phillips presumed abandoned, while Michael secretly cut a deal with a corrupt federal agent and rebuilt his life in Los Santos under a new name. By 2013, that new life is falling apart, and a young street criminal named Franklin Clinton pulls Michael back into crime after a jewelry store heist accidentally reveals to the entire state that Michael never actually died. Trevor arrives furious, blackmail from from federal agent Steve Haynes forces the three men into increasingly dangerous jobs, and Trevor eventually digs up the grave he thought belonged to Michael, only to find their old partner Brad's body waiting inside instead. The final heist targets the Union Depository, and the fortune in gold gives all three men enough money to disappear. But two powerful men then demand Franklin choose which of his partners to kill. Franklin refuses both orders, uniting Michael and Trevor for one last purge of every enemy still standing, ending with a billionaire pushed off a cliff inside his own car and three men who spent the entire story betraying each other finally walking away free.